What's up, everyone? My son, Allan, here, who's 10. Allan, say hi.
Hi.
He just finished his first ever 24-hour fast. So he decided of his own accord that he was going to go through the day without even having bulletproof coffee. He had some black coffee, but no brain octane, no butter, nothing like that, because he wanted to see what it would feel like. So I'm pretty stoked, and I wanted to answer questions for you guys, and he'll help if you have kids wondering, is it safe to skip breakfast sometimes? Yes.
Skipping breakfast, I do that actually a lot.
Allan, would you do this every day?
Like every day straight.
Like fasting? Like, yeah, would you fast even just in the morning every day?
Well, probably not fast, but I have to have a really light breakfast.
Yeah.
Because I don't normally actually have a full-on breakfast.
Well, quite often you do. You have some protein, some fat, but you don't really eat carbs for breakfast most of the time.
No.
So what, Allan's 10. So what he's done is he's definitely fat adapted. His body knows how to eat fat, don't you?
Yep.
So our whole family knows how to digest fat. Our bodies do that. Oh, here's a question from John. He said, what kind of floozie did you have? What did you drink today?
Coffee, a lot of it.
You did not a lot. You had 2 small cups of coffee.
I had more than normal.
That's true. Yeah, 2. We have the smallest cup. He gets half of a small cup. He did that twice.
Yeah, well, I mean, relative to what I normally have.
Here's something cool. Dana Elizabeth, breakfast, lunch, kids need to be careful they're growing. You're exactly right. Kids should not fast every single day. They shouldn't intermittent fast every day. But they can have a late breakfast if they're just not hungry. Kids know how to do that. So the way you start with kids is you make sure they're fat adapted, and then they can do it. And really, it's not that hard. You have dinner, go to sleep, wake up, and wait until the next dinner. And if you do that on a once a month basis, it's like exercise. It's not a big deal. In fact, it's kind of cool.
Someone just asked, when can kids drink coffee? Do you have an answer for that?
Well,
It's up there.
I did a whole bunch of research on this because when my daughter was 1, she reached for my black coffee, and I was like, yeah, sure, you won't like that. It's lukewarm. I figured she wouldn't have it for a long time, and she fought me for it. She drank it. So I did all the research, and here's the deal. Kids metabolize caffeine twice as fast as us adults. If you give them an ounce full of butter and brain octane, it's just fine, and that's not a problem. Not at all. The things about caffeine stunting kids' growth, that was actually a rumor spread by a company trying to sell you a burned grain beverage that probably does stunt growth.
Funniest thing, I was the 3rd tallest in my class, so yeah.
That's right. So you're not having a hard time on that. People are saying, how much water do you drink? Do you even know how much you drink per day?
No, I don't.
So,
but I had more today than normal.
Yeah, you want to drink extra water when you're fasting. And so I'm not saying that kids should fast. I'm saying, though, that if once a month or once a quarter, your children and you decide you're going to fast together, because I've had nothing but coffee today either, that it's one of those things like going for a long hike, doing something above your level. And Allan, you said something cool about you wanted to see if you could do it. What was
I
going
knew
on
I
with
could
that?
do it. I wanted to show my body I could do it.
There you go.
So what Daddy was offering was that to have a couple drops of, a bit more
like a teaspoon or 2 of brain octane. I said, if you put that in, you'll feel less hunger.
Yeah, and I decided not to because I wanted to do an actual just coffee and tea and water. Also, just to show myself that I could. That was actually the main reason.
So what did you find? Did you find that you could?
Yeah, I haven't eaten still. The last meal I ate was about 6:30 last night for dinner. But I'm gonna eat in probably like 20 minutes because it's dinner and there's some delicious Smokies in the oven that come from our pigs.
Smokies, if you don't know what those are sausages, like smoked sausages. And it turns out smoking your food is terrible for you. So these are sausages that are made from our pigs. You guys have seen them if you follow me on Instagram. And Allan helps to raise them. Did you muck out the pig thing recently?
Not recently.
Or that was the sheep thing you mucked out?
Yeah, it was a sheep thing.
So, but we use a special kind of smoked salt, so you're not getting the negative part of smoking. Everyone's saying kids actually do drink coffee in most of the world. It's just like Fearful America where they don't.
Also, I realized we just never answered the question of what liquids do I have.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee, tea, and water.
Coffee, tea, and water. There you go.
I also had a bunch of ice cubes because they're nice, and it was really hot.
I love it. You're like, I wanted to eat something, so I ate an ice cube. Like, that was very creative.
Yeah,
you did it all by yourself.
Ice cubes or water.
What did your brain feel like when you were fasting for your first time ever?
Well, later in the day, probably from about 3 till, well, I'm feeling a bit better now because I know there's some lovely food on the way. But I felt really tired. Like, my muscles, like I'd been back from a 3-hour hike. Like, they were super tired. My brain was kind of a bit off.
Brain was a little bit off. So what does it feel like when your brain is off? Does it make you
Like,
more
you're a bit
cranky
more
or slower?
sluggish.
Sluggish. Got it.
Also, I have every day, well, Monday to Friday, I work on our farm for an hour. Normally that's really easy. I don't actually do a second hour. But today, even just shoveling 10 shovelfuls of wood chips out of the pile, I was exhausted after that. Well, not exhausted, but I wanted to take a break.
So I'm pretty darn impressed that you just decided you wanted to do that. Hey, Shoal, yep, we are lucky to live on a farm, so we grow our stuff. Optimize Dr. Ajan, Allan's 10. Let's see. Let's scroll down to some more questions.
There you go.
Oh, do you still have your supplements on your fast? Did you take supplements this morning, Allan?
No.
No?
I just realized I didn't.
It doesn't matter. You probably wouldn't have wanted to take all of them on an empty stomach. So there's a post on the main page on Instagram here. It's a picture of my daughter, Anna, and she's making a little man on the table out of vitamins. And it's the type of supplements that the kids are taking. The full protocol is in the description on the post. And these are supplements for just growing kids. They need their minerals. They need their omega-3s. They need their vitamin D, their vitamin A, things like that.
Oh,
but
there's... One second.
What?
There's a question. Did I sleep well? Actually, it was a completely normal night because I had dinner last night.
Okay.
So, we'll see how this night goes.
Hey, there's Craig
We'll
Hanley.
eat, though.
Big hugs to you, Craig.
Who's Craig Hanley?
Craig, he's one of my buddies.
Oh, cool.
So, I would say that you handled it like a boss because a lot of times people say I'm going to fast. It goes for adults and kids. Like, did mommy one time? One time during her fast, what did she have? She was doing like a 3-day fast.
Okay, we've never let her live this off, but she had a tablespoon of soup, or no, 2 tablespoons of soup and 1 of ice cream during a 5-day fast. I was like, what? Oh,
She's gonna be so
yeah.
mad that we told people this.
Also, when she was fasting, the strangest thing happened. She kept making us super fancy meals, like way fancier than normal. And it was really nice, but she wasn't eating any of it, which is funny. You'd think she wanted to cook less because she wasn't the one eating it, but no.
Here's the funny thing. When you're fasting, if you don't eat anything, it's good, but you have this temptation. And lots of people, if you take a little tiny bite of food, you're probably going to get really much hungrier from that. So you feel like it's going to help you, but it actually doesn't. But you're still fasting. If you have a tiny amount of whatever, it's not going to have a huge problem for most types of fasts. So I love it that she's like, I'm just going to have a tiny bit. And then she felt the, and she didn't have any more. So I count that as a multi-day fast anyway. But it's kind of funny.
For instance, this morning, we had this lovely sprout tray sitting on our counter. I wasn't thinking about fasting too much because like in the first hour when I decided to, more like 20 minutes, I had a couple sprouts. And about 10 minutes later, I felt so hungry, way more hungry than I do now, which is 10 hours later. Well, 9. It was really interesting. If you eat just a little bit and then fast, it actually makes you hungrier than before you ate.
Totally does that. Let's see, question. What do I think of the keto diet from Kes Nielsen? So one of the reasons the keto diet is really popular is my book, The Bulletproof Diet, came out in 2014. I started writing about ketosis in 2011. And here's the deal on the keto diet. If you go full on ketosis, like the people who eat no carbs ever, which is not us, right, Allan?
No.
We have some carbs.
Yeah.
If you do that, you can lose half the weight you want to lose, but you will get inflamed because you'll have the wrong types of fats on the wrong types of protein. So basically the keto bro, no carbs ever, it does not work. What does work is cyclical ketosis and avoiding inflammatory foods at the same time. And if you do that, you change everything. That's called the Bulletproof Diet. People have lost 1 million pounds on the Bulletproof Diet. But it's different than ketosis because just avoiding carbs isn't going to cut it. And one more question. Should we answer the Greg one and then we should go?
Oh, one more thing. That's
Yeah?
a quick question. So when asked when my bedtime is, it's 8:30, and that's in bed, lights out. Well, preferably.
Nice. And what do you do before 8:30? What do you do with our lights?
All our lights pretty much are on dimmer switches. So pretty much when we're done doing whatever we do, play a game, watch a movie, something like that, go into my room, and I normally put my lights on about half. Then about 5 minutes later, when I'm done brushing and going normally to get my water, I put it till 1 notch down and the lights are off. And the thing is, if you kind of put it down gently, you can actually see in that light, versus if it's all the way on, then barely on, you can't see at all. You get adapted to it.
All right. Should we do one more, then go eat? Yep. You guys are keeping this young man away from his food, you know. All right. How about that question from It's the Cat's Meow? What do the kids' schedule look like during the quarantine? What are you guys doing for fun? So what's different now from before the quarantine?
Well, actually, not that much, because I was homeschooled before. Well, we're not going out that much, but there's no extra lessons or that much. Because I'm homeschooled. But.
So the difference is lessons are where people would have come to the house to help you learn stuff like piano.
Yeah, we're just doing Skype.
Yeah, so other than that, not a big change.
Oh, also, my tennis lessons, there's a big group one. I'm not doing that anymore.
We did find a way. It's actually very safe. Allan does do an outdoor tennis lesson. And that's because, we live in a small town in a farming area, so they go to the court with a coach. They're on opposite sides of the court, plenty of social distancing, and he washes his hands really well in case he touched a ball that had been touched by something other than a racket. But overall, I think that's a manageable risk. Other than that, though, when you live in a smaller town or on land like we do, where it's much more affordable than living, in a major city, I guess we go to the grocery store less than we did before, right?
You could say that since I'm not doing that much stuff, I don't really have anything on my plate. No, literally.
Nice. Look at all the hearts people gave you for that. That was funny. All right, my friends. Thank you for sharing all the positive vibes with us. Stay safe, eat some good food, and just be resilient. And if you're feeling really good, it's okay to do a day of fasting. It'll actually help you with inflammation. If you're feeling tired, don't do fasting. It's a bad idea. That's the trick. So fast when you're strong, and you can be stronger. Mm-hmm. And on that note, I'm just going to wish you guys all a good night. What do you have to say?
I'm going to go get my food.
All right, Smoky time.
And bye.